the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. And you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. These guys are unbelievable, baby!
All right, we are back, and we're joined by the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man. Welcome to In Your Head.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that fine introduction, Ed. You were one of the few people who have gotten that right over the years.
Oh, really?
Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Yeah. What do they usually say?
Well, they just say, well, we're here with WWE superstar Honky Tonk Man. Wait a minute. Now, we got to have the introduction. It's got to be done properly.
They're amateurs.
I suppose, yeah.
So let everybody know you're going to be wrestling for All-Star Wrestling June 28th and the 29th. And you can go to asw/wrestling.com for more information. And on the first night on the 28th at Fieldhouse in Logan, West Virginia, the Logan Memorial Fieldhouse, you're going to be wrestling Madman Pondo.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. You know, I've known Pondo for quite some time now. He I guess, is, you know, they used to say Mankind or Mick Foley was the king of extreme, but this Madman Pondo, he took hardcore extreme wrestling to a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know, that doesn't bother me because many years ago I was involved in a hardcore match myself. It was called the Tupelo Concession Stand match in Tupelo, Mississippi, and we just literally destroyed the concession stand and threw cans and bottles and knives and forks and mustard and hot dogs at each other. And it ended up one of the young fellas there that saw it was named Eddie Gilbert. His dad was wrestling on the card, and he met up with a guy a few years later called Paul Heyman, and they created this thing called ECW.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously from watching the Tupelo concession hardcore match, it turned somebody on. So, but if Pondo wants to get extreme, I hope he brings all those instruments and tools and stop signs and saw blades and whatever else he has in his bag of tricks, because you know, I'd love to use them on him.
The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time and the greatest innovator of all time, I guess.
Well, I've been accused of a lot of things, I guess.
Of course, in the Tupelo concession brawl, you had blonde hair at that time.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was blonde hair for quite a while, for a long time, in fact, and I did a hair, not a hair cutting match where it's hair versus hair. We did it different, and we did a hair dye match, and where we just shot the angle with the Southeastern Wrestling in Mobile, Alabama, and Pensacola, Florida. It wasn't big enough for two blondes. The other blonde was Austin Idol, and so of course I lost the hair dye match and ended up with the black hair, and that's how it stayed with me ever since.
Were you against going to black hair at the time?
No, not really. I thought it was really my idea because I needed a change. I needed to change in a lot of ways and to grow a little bit more professionally, and that was a good avenue to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much all the heels at that time had the bleach blonde.
Right, and I felt like in fact, I didn't do the whole head. I just did the front portion, like Sputnik Monroe had the black hair with a little white spot.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little black spot with still had the white hair mostly. And Bob Armstrong, he would go out on interviews and call me Skunk Rock because I was going as punk rocker Wayne Ferris back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said, I wrestled this guy Austin Idol, and he was in Memphis at one point. And he did this thing called, "Hey, it's Idolmania running wild, Idolmania." And there was a young fellow in the locker room by the name of Terry the Hulk Boulder. And he went on to be Hulk Hogan and took the Hulkamania running wild. I tell people, we really, most of us never create anything on our own. We take a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and we put it all together for ourselves.
Right. Speaking of that, what do you think of some of the people who use guitars now? Or I guess in TNA for a while there was the Kings of Wrestling, and it was Jeff Jarrett and Hall and Nash, and they were dressed up as Elvis. Yeah,
to me, some people say it's a form of flattery, but to me, being still active in the business and still performing over 80 events a year in 6-7 different countries a year. It doesn't bother me as much as it did when Jarrett was actually sitting in the WWE locker room and me sitting across from them from him, and him going out on the WWE television and then using the guitar, which I thought was it was just very unprofessional conduct. I wouldn't have done it if it had been him and it had been his thing he was doing. I would have just asked to, maybe let me do something else.
We get a caller. Oh, go on, Barb.
Do you think that Jeff Jarrett, of all people, considering where he came from, should have been somebody who it clicked, that he probably should have said, this is Honky Tonk Man's thing, I shouldn't be doing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the professional etiquette part of it that you should have done. This is, I'd really rather not do it right now because, I mean, this guy's here and that's what he's known for. And it never helped Jeff Jarrett. It's never helped anyone who's actually gone to use the guitar. It would be like someone dressing up and wearing the Hogan colors and trying to be Hulk Hogan. There's only one Hulk Hogan. There was only one Jake the Snake. There's only one Honky Tonk Man.
It didn't do Evad Sullivan any favors when he was the Hulkamaniac.
No, it's not done anything for anybody who tries to copy someone. At that point in time, we were the most recognizable characters on this planet. And it's not like the old territory days where Jarrett could have been in Memphis or Nashville and been doing that on a local television station. But even they brought this Lance Cassidy, one of the Armstrong boys, in as the singing cowboy McMahon did shortly after I left, and gave him the guitar, and it didn't work for him, and it didn't work for Jarrett. And some people just can't find themselves, and no matter what they try.
We got Jason here on the line. You got a question for the Honky Tonk Man?
Yeah, before I ask my question, I just want to state that to Honky Tonk Man that I probably wouldn't be a fan today if it wasn't for growing up on his feud with Randy Savage in '88.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure you cheered for Savage back then, though.
I was borderline. I liked both. Every time I hear your theme song, I have to sing along to it. It puts a smile on my face. So.
Well, now that does have an effect on people. A lot of places I go somewhere and I say, all week we've been singing that song and we can't get it out of our head. And when you were here last time, we sang that song for a month. So it's a catchy little tune, and that's done really well for me.
My question was, do you have any? Could you maybe tell or explain what you think is missing from the business today that used to be there, and what helped make the magic that is kind of missing from the business today?
It's a television product now, and it goes too fast. I compare it to arena football because I got to see an arena football game live in person not so long ago, and television does not do arena football any justice at all. The same with ice hockey. Ice hockey is a fast, brutal, tough game that they play, and television just doesn't do anything for it. And it doesn't do anything for this fast TV up and down matches and flips and turns and go to break and come back. And they're so afraid now. Not the wrestlers themselves aren't, but the management. They're so afraid that someone is going to take the clicker and click to another channel, and it's just driven by that. It's driven by create as much excitement, do as much as we can in a 5-minute segment, and let's get moving. So that's how the product's changed. The wrestlers are still basically the same. They've just been trained different.
Do you have anything else, Jason?
No. Thank you very much, Honky Tonk.
You're welcome, buddy.
Thanks for calling in.
Yep.
The number's 508-644-8503 if anyone else wants to call in. And the next night on the 29th, you're going to be wrestling Bobby Eaton at the Madison Civic Center in Madison, West Virginia.
That'll be another blast from the past. I wrestled Bobby when I was first breaking in the business, and as the Blonde Bombers with Danny Davis, who's in Ohio Valley now, and my partner Spot Moondog, who was Larry Latham back then. God bless him, he's passed on. And we had hundreds of matches with the Jet Set, they were called. Beautiful Bobby Eaton and George Goulas. Nick Goulas was the promoter, and George was his son, and Bobby was the guy who had to go in and do all the work and give the tag to the owner's son.
Have you seen that a lot throughout your career?
Yeah. There's nepotism runs wild in any business. I don't know where it's not shown its ugly horns, no matter what it is.
Will we ever see a Honky Tonk Man Jr. in the ring?
I don't think so. No, he's really not into it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, my children, my kids haven't watched this WWE product in at least 10, 12 years. You know, since when they started with that, we have an attitude, and there's no bad guys and no good guys, and they were doing had Sable stripped down to a piece of dental floss and things like that. It made me not even watch.
Are you aware of the current angle on Raw where Vince McMahon was blown up?
I've heard about it, and I don't know what you're trying to pull with it. I mean, where are you going to go with it, other than insult the intelligence of wrestling fans? And they've really insulted the intelligence of shareholders that bought that silly stock they offered.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Which has plummeted, is the news I'm getting.
You know, if I was a shareholder, I would probably be quite upset that the head of the corporation, the guy that I gave my money to, is acting as if he's deceased now.
Right, he just blew up on live on air.
Well, I think I was watching CNBC the other night, the business news, and they read something from the WWE corporate office that said Mr. McMahon was blown up as part of his character, but Vincent Kennedy McMahon is still alive and well, and to reassure the shareholders that you know, some people really believe this nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that kind of takes you out of the wrestling when they say that kind of stuff, though, like the McMahon's still alive but his character's dead, even though people might not. Yeah, I'd say go on.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say even people might not believe that it's all real, but when you're watching something, you don't want to be told that right out that this guy's not really dead, this guy's not really hurt.
Especially when you're selling your product as somewhat of believability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have TV announcers that's screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs about how terrible something is, or and trying to sell it to the public is that way, then they should just put a disclaimer in the front of the show and say, the characters you see here are fictional, all the storylines are fictional, and it's got terrible content and things like that. Let people make their own decision then.
I got a caller here, Chris.
Hi.
You're on there.
I wanted to know, has the Honky Tonk Man seen his action figures that Jack's produced, and if so, what do you think of it?
My figure that's out now?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it's great. I turned it completely over to the fella at Jack's. He was a real wrestling fan, and he was actually a fan of mine. And he told me, he said, I'll send your prototype for you to look at. And I said, no. I said, hey, just do your best work. And he called me back a couple of weeks later, and he said, you're going to really like this. It's going to surprise you. And he said, I put more time and effort into making this one than any one I've ever done. And he was really proud of it. And when I got to see it, I emailed him back and let him know that he did a wonderful job, and thanks for doing it so good.
Do you have it, Chris?
I don't have it yet. I want to get it, though. I think I might be getting it in a couple days. Can I ask one more question, though?
Sure.
Yeah, I can tell you about the only place you can find them is Toys R Us.
Yeah, they're very hard. They're one of the hardest to find. And then I wanted to know, how did you get approached about making your return in the Royal Rumble in 2001?
But they just called me out of the blue. They had called me a couple of times to do other things with Randy Orton and some other things that I didn't want to do, just a one-shot deal, and I said no. And this time when they called, I surprised them, I guess. I was in New Orleans. I was going to be in New Orleans that weekend anyway. I was signing autographs at a monster truck show, and so I was already there. And why did they offer me a few $1,000s? I said sure, I'll do it.
No, thanks for calling in, Chris.
Thanks. It's an honor to talk to you, Honky Tonk Man.
Okay, bye.
Do you have a question from the board, Incher?
Glogo, he actually has a question. It's probably everybody's favorite question, I think. It's, what is your opinions of the Warrior?
Well, he's different. He always was. He's got an attitude that, rubs some people the wrong way, but he and I got very well. We ended up, over a period of time, able to have decent matches. I'm not going to say they were great. I'm not going to say they were even good. They were just decent. They were good enough to get us through what we had to do, and for me to move him along to someone else. Mm-hmm. I think this character assassination they did, that's totally uncalled for. There's no reason to do that. If you don't like the guy, don't say anything about him. You know, just don't go put a DVD out and try to destroy him publicly.
I mean,
that's where if I make them mad anymore, who knows what they'll do to me.
I mean, WWE pushed him as a main guy, so he must have been over. I kind of think putting out a DVD saying he was so bad kind of looks bad to WWE.
Well, yeah. If he was so bad, why did you push him so hard? And he was he was a mega star. The guy caught on. He really did. It was his intensity, the colors, all the stuff he did. He got to the point where his interviews became a little bit way out in space somewhere. But other than that, the guy had a great look about him, and he knew what he wanted, and he got it. He once he got the push, he made himself into this Ultimate Warrior, and he sucked every nickel he could out of McMahon.
We get a caller here. Who is this?
It's Chris in New York.
All right, you're on air with Honky Tonk Man. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I got two quick questions. I was wondering, do you ever plan on putting this site back up?
I don't know. I didn't own the site. It wasn't mine. It belonged to a fellow in Michigan, and I think some guy in Ontario, Canada, and it was just one of those things that it became way too time-consuming for me. We had to create controversy and things like that to really make the site do well, and surprisingly, it did very well for a while, and then it did not good, and then it would do good, and then the thing was I didn't make any money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't make any money for the time and effort.
Did he make any money off of it?
I don't know. I really don't know.
What was the other question?
What are your thoughts on Sherry's death? Any memories?
What was that?
I just want to know if you had any memories of Sherry Martel.
All the things they're putting out about Sherry since she first surfaced and managed Macho Man Savage, she was Peggy Sue.
Right.
I mean, they tend to forget that, and that was a great piece of television and some great story stuff we had going with the Peggy Sue thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was fantastic. She would go out and wrestle. She'd go out and wrestle her match, and she was a very hard worker and very, very, very good in the ring. She took the wrestling very seriously. Much like all the girls that Moolah trained, if you didn't take your job serious, Moolah got rid of you, or she beat you up. And every time they bring Mae Young and Moolah back in, you see them take one of those young girls and sling her around by the hair. Mm-hmm. That means the young girl has done something that's caused some problems, and they can put her back in line.
Do you think there's too many women in wrestling now?
Oh, gosh, yes. Well, I mean, if I want to see girls half naked, I'll go to the gentleman's club.
Right.
I mean, that would be like having 20 dwarfs on there, midgets.
Right.
Can you have too many? Sure you can. Can you have too many cowboys and Indians? Of course you can. There's just not enough diversity there. All the girls look the same. A lot of the guys all look the same. Mm-hmm. And it's not a diverse bunch of talent right now.
I got another caller here who's he's called in a few times today. You finally made it here with Honky Tonk Man. Do you have a question?
I got a couple for Honky. Good evening, Honky. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
I got sort of three questions. One, are you ever going to come back to Crawford County Fair to wrestle?
Which town is that?
That's in Pennsylvania, in Meadville.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get back for that one or not.
Okay, and the other thing is...
That's totally up. That's up to the promoters and up to the fair people.
Right.
If you want to see the Honky Tonk Man, get in touch with the guys who run the show.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I'm really sorry to hear about Sensational Sherry. She was a fine wrestler, and she was a fine manager. And one other thing. You were one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions. You held that for almost 2 years.
What do you mean?
Yeah, almost, yeah. a little over a year and a half.
Yeah, and the other thing is, that's kind of a touching thing. We all kind of know Vince is gone, but was he a hard man to work for?
In the beginning, when he was trying to get things off the ground, he was very, very open-minded and let the guys just do what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, because that's how we were trained and that's how we were all successful. But the more he started to and there again, guys took advantage of him. Guys would show up all screwed up. Guys with no show. Guys were getting in trouble all the time and just partying like crazy and living that life like a rock star. Because Vince was throwing the money around, and then gradually he cut the money back. Gradually got rid of all the old school guys, and gradually he made it into the company that it is today. You can't knock his success because he's obviously smarter than. That's what I told Jimmy Hart. I said, tell Hogan, don't be so angry at Vince because Vince screwed Hogan around. Who does Hogan think he is? Vince screws everybody around. And I told Jimmy Hart, I said, just tell Hogan, Vince is a lot smarter than him. Vince has got $500 million or $500 million. Hogan's not anywhere near that. So who's smarter?
Vince is, and I gotta say, Jimmy Hart was one of the smartest managers you ever had.
We had a good relationship, and I compare it to the gears in a car. When you shift the gears, if you don't get them in just the right spot, the gears don't work. They grind. And we had the gears clicking, and everything worked, and it worked very well for us.
Okay, I have one more for you, and then I know you're busy. I know this man has other callers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Edge being world champion? And how
Who?
Edge.
Edge.
I didn't see any of it. He's a very talented fellow, and he's got a good look about him with that Neanderthal chin of his sticking out.
Yeah, he does. But the way he took it from Undertaker, I didn't think it was fair.
Well, I don't.
You know what I'd like to see?
Politics.
You know what I'd like to see, Honky?
What's
I'd like
that?
to see you come out of retirement and take that belt from Edge.
Well, I'm not retired, but it would take me about 6 or 8 weeks to get back in the ring. See, this is the thing. When they call you to come back, and this is the worst thing Roddy Piper could have ever done. He goes on TV and pulls his shirt off, and he looked terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I still look a lot better than Piper. And
Well,
I'm,
you do.
I'm 2 or 3 years older than him, also.
Well, that's true.
I wouldn't jump at the chance to go back on TV, just to be on TV, or go back just to be there. I would jump at the chance to say, give me 6 weeks, give me 8 weeks to get myself ready, get myself in condition to where I can go and compete. But they want you to come right in so you look bad.
Right. And you can't do that. You're really not in the shape for it. Well, I'm not saying you're not in shape, but, I mean, you got to be prepared to go against whoever you're facing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not in any, I'm in an independent state of wrestling condition as far as what I do, because I just go out on the weekends. It's not like I would have to go there and work every night.
Thanks for calling in. Did you have another question there from the board entry?
Mm-hmm. Norrin Rad, he actually has a question.
Well, you're talking about when Roddy Piper took the shirt off, because he's a legend. Anytime the legends come on, people react to him right away. And I thought he looked fine when he was, when he had the kilt on and the shirt. I don't know why they just didn't have him wrestle with that. Or why they even had him wrestle at all.
Once he pulled the shirt off, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I mean, the last member you have now of Piper is that what you saw when he pulled the shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's the thing about show business. If you don't look and act the same way you did, in people's minds, you're finished, you're flop.
Mm-hmm. I actually
you have to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Norrin Rad's question, he actually asked, who do you think the second greatest Intercontinental Champion was?
Oh, gosh, it's hard to say. There were so many. Bret Hart was good. Shawn Michaels was good. Rick Rude was good. Kurt Hennig. The list goes on and on. All the guys that had the belt did a pretty good job with it, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the belt still has the same meaning today that it did at the time?
No, I was going to say that as a follow-up on this. It's been so greatly diminished when Stone Cold Steve Austin took it and threw it in the river. That was it. And then when they put it on a girl, China,
right?
It was pretty much over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who the Intercontinental Champion is now, or tag champs, or they change them so often that it has no meaning anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, right now it's Santino, I believe. Well, I know what you mean. They just pretty much every week the belts change.
Yeah.
Plus, I think there's probably too many belts because you got 3 brands, and each brand has a set of titles.
Well, I understand that from a television standpoint because each television show wants a champion. Mm-hmm. Each television show wants, marquee named guys, so that's why they switch them around now. But see, that's where I go back to. It's a television product now. They switch the belts right away. They don't keep them on a guy long enough for a guy to establish any kind of credibility.
Get another caller here. Who is this?
This is Spectron. How you doing, Jack?
Good, thanks. You on air with the Honky Tonk Man? You got a question?
Yes. Hello, Honky.
Hello.
I had a question. I just finished watching the On the Road with Honky Tonk Man DVD from RSS Video that you were on a couple of years ago, and it is absolutely fantastic. And I know
I've never seen it, but I think it's funny as heck. I've heard.
It's so funny. It's packed full of just great footage from you in a show that you did at Woodward. I think it was Wildwood, New Jersey, at the fairgrounds there.
Yeah, we were on the beach.
Yeah, on the beach. And you had an interesting comment on that DVD. You said something about Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the vodka incident, about him not necessarily knowing that on the indie shows that you can bring all the drinks that you want. I was just wondering if you're still carrying around that bottle of vodka during every indie booking.
No, because see, the thing was, I was in the locker room with Hacksaw when he first started doing independence a few years ago, and he reaches in his bag and he pulls out this little thing off the airplane, that little bitty one, right? And he says, "Hey, Honky, look what I got." I said, "What? That's what you have?" I said, "Brother, this is independence." So I opened the bag up and I pulled the big handle out. He almost fell out of his chair. To this day, every time he sees me, he says something about that big bottle of it. No, since the 9/11 stuff, you can't carry anything in your bag anymore.
Right.
Oh, God. Well, my second question is, I know that WWE instituted the European Championship in early 1997. I was just wondering if the WWE implemented that championship around the late 80s. Do you think that the title would hold more credibility, and do you think it would have been beneficial for some of the undercard wrestlers at the time?
I think it probably could have carried some weight on it. When you put, if you had somebody like Davey Boy Smith, that would be the champion because he's European and United Kingdom descent, or you had maybe one of the German fellows or Tony Halme or them guys that was there at the time, that were known in Europe and were the European champion. That would have been the only way to have credibility.
Mm-hmm. And my final question, it has to do with your website. I know that the page has been kind of down for the last few months. I was just wondering, when it does come back up full strong, will you implement your radio blogs anymore?
I don't think it'll be back. And we innovated the blogging thing. We were the first website to ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
We were the first wrestling website to do it, to ever do it.
Did you ever get any confrontations from any other wrestlers that you talked about on your website?
No, not really, because the ones that I talked about, they knew what they did. They knew they did wrong, or they knew they had done wrongs to people, or I never picked on anyone that didn't deserve it.
Right.
I mean, I picked on people for sometimes my own personal gain or my own personal contacts with these people. Other than that, I didn't take shots at anyone who didn't fire first.
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair made a statement in his book about me for absolutely no reason. He said I would have never done anything if it hadn't been for Hulk Hogan. If I hadn't been friends with Hogan, well, I worked main event matches before I ever met Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
So then Flair knows that.
Do you ever plans yourself to write a book?
No, because no one would believe it. No one would believe that these personalities that's in this professional wrestling business can be as emotionally unstable, psychologically, physical wrecks sometimes, just train wrecks are waiting to happen. No one would believe behind the scenes things that have gone on in this business.
Thanks for calling in, Spec Son.
Yes, it just would have been great to hear one of those blogs again from Honky, because I never forget what blog that he had right after the WWE made their homecoming to USA Network. And Honky claimed that he was half drunk on vodka, and he was just going off on everybody. So that was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. I did that one about 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and oh man, I was pretty much about 5 sheets in the wind.
Well, if you ever want to start them up again, you can send them over to us. We'll put them up on the website. We get another call here. He's from Portugal. Hello. It's an LTNA fan.
How are you doing, Mister? How are you doing, Honky Tonk Man?
I'm doing well.
Okay, I have 2 quick questions. I don't know if you did talk about Santino Morello, which is the current Intercontinental Champion. I don't know if you saw him.
I don't.
No, I heard. I didn't see it. I heard about it, and I know that he's from Toronto, and he was training in Ohio Valley or somewhere, and they sent him over on a plane and put him in the audience.
Yeah, they brought him as a champ. As a fan that got selected by Mr. McMahon. He fought against Umaga and won the title. What do you think of this type of storyline?
I don't know. There's always been storylines that make no sense in the wrestling business. There's always been storylines.
Yeah.
There's always been storylines. I'm gonna throw a shot at the Memphis guys now, Jarrett and Lawler. They would do stuff like Lawler would bring in Dr. Frankenstein and have guys.
Uh-oh, we might have lost him here.
Uh-oh. Nothing went wrong. I thought it was on my end.
You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you go. What were you saying about Frankenstein and Lawler?
Well, yeah, he would bring in Dr. Frankenstein. He brought in Freddy Krueger. He would dress people up like these cartoon characters.
Do you think some of that stuff works? Did it work at that time? Did
No,
people buy it?
No.
I know Leatherface actually was pretty big in Japan. Do you think that's just a different crowd?
Yeah, it was different, but I'm talking about back in the 72, 73, 75, 76 when I started.
Right.
Even those kind of characters were unheard of in Japan. The big names in Japan back then were Abdullah the Butcher, Bruiser Brody, and the Funks, Jack Briscoe. You know, legitimate wrestlers.
Right.
Not that Abdullah is, but...
Hey. It's a good-looking man. Have you ever been to Abby's House of Ribs?
No, I've never been there.
No. We ask that every time Abdullah comes up, we always ask about Abby's House of Ribs.
I suppose it's pretty good from what someone was telling me.
Yeah. Did you have anything else, LTNA fan?
Yeah, just another quick question. When they brought you the character that you're going to be an Elvis impersonator, did you thought that that wouldn't work and it would be just a couple of month thing and then it would fade out? Or do you think thought it was going to work?
No, I started the character long before I came to WWE.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the WWF then.
No, I had that character before I went to the Stu Hart territory in, what year was that? 81 or 82 or something I started that character. And in fact, some wrestling fans are the ones that gave me the jumpsuit and told me I should start doing the Elvis thing because I had the black hair and the black sideburns.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do it as a Snyder one day at a time character. The maintenance man on that show.
Yeah.
The little pencil-thin mustache and jet black hair, greasy-looking, slimy.
Get the cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve.
Yeah, real redneck hillbilly, and because that works down south. And then the Elvis thing just took off, and I never dreamed it would do it. I never dreamed it.
Mm-hmm.
I never dreamed it would take off.
Do you get a different reaction, like different parts of the country you wrestle, like if you wrestle down south, if you wrestle up north?
No, it's all the same now. I'm a good guy. I'm the baby face. The fans it's like they get to relive their youth for a few hours while I'm at a show, and they get to see me and talk to me. And we have fun. We have fun at these shows. We really do.
Mm-hmm. Let everybody know The 28th and 29th, you'll be wrestling for All-Star Wrestling, and you go to asw/wrestling.com, and you can get your tickets. It'll be West Virginia. And I will have the link up on the website, too, if anyone wants to check it out. Thanks for calling in, LTNA fan.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Speaking of LTNA fan, what do you think of TNA? Do you think it could ever compete with WWE?
No. Not anywhere near it. It's, I've never seen very much of their show. I saw it one night, late night on TV. I was in Philadelphia or Boston or somewhere. I saw it. That was back before they started getting primetime stuff. I'm not in love with the octagon type ring.
Right.
It just doesn't look right. And if you notice, most of the guys there are very small.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of them are small guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the WWF, the WWE always has the ability to have some of these big characters at some point. And with TNA not getting those kind of characters and just getting people that WWE doesn't want anymore, it's not going to ever help their product. They got to develop their own stars.
Do you think the smaller guys? Do you think they could ever headline, or do you think they you could never headline with smaller wrestlers? Well,
you get in these big buildings. You get in, say, Madison Square Garden, 22,000 people, and you're sitting up in the crow's nest. That little person looks real little.
Right.
Andre the Giant was still a giant, and John Studd, and you see these big guys go at it, and that's really the WWF, WWE product has been built on the bigger guys, and the wrestling fans they've always adapted to the big guys. It's hard for a guy under 6 foot tall to make it. I mean, Austin was the exception, being under 6 foot to do what he's done, but not too many of those guys around.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a question from the board, Incher?
Brian Blaze, he actually wants to know what your opinions were on Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, Jake the Snake, it's been a bad day. Somebody pitched me that crack pipe. I hear Jake's cleaned up now. I've heard he's straightened up, but I don't know. Now, he's supposed to be on one of the shows in West Virginia on the Sunday that I'm there for another promoter. Whether he's going to be there or not, it remains to be seen. I've not talked or seen Jake since before he left England. And that's the last I heard from him back in like October of the year before he skipped the country and made it back into the States. Now, for old Jake the Snake, he can sure slip through the cracks.
We had him on a few weeks ago. It was really it was a lot of fun for me to talk to Jake the Snake.
How was he?
No, he was really good, I thought.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear he's straightened up a little bit. So that's good. I've always got along well with Jake, and we could have drawn and still could on the independent circuit do sellout business. I mean, he if you look at Jake's career, there was Hulk Hogan, there was Piper, there was Orndorff, Savage, and Jake Roberts. Mm-hmm. Those were the top 5 names in our business for 10 years.
Do you think, if Hulk Hogan wasn't there, who do you think of those guys would have been like the main event in WWE?
Gosh, Jake would have. Mm-hmm. Orndorff, of course. Piper was main event, and Savage would have worked his way into it because Savage had something different. He had that look, the crazy eyes, the crazy interview, and sounded like he was constipated all the time. Ooh, yeah.
Speaking of interviews, all those guys all known for their interviews. What do you think about currently all the interviews are scripted out beforehand?
It's horrible. It's horrible. I would hate someone tell me, give me a piece of paper and say you have to memorize this and go say it. I'd say, forget it. Forget that. Just tell me where I'm going, who I'm going to be with, what day it is, and I can do the rest. Mm-hmm. If it's in Logan, West Virginia on Saturday night and at the community center, and my opponent's the Madman Pondo, that's all I need to know. I can do 2-3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a question from the board?
Actually, I had a question myself. I just wanted to know if WWE ever came to Honky Tonk Man about being in the Hall of Fame, would you do it?
That would be a question that I'd have to ponder on, and then it would have to be. I don't like how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's Paul Orndorff said it right. He said, "Hey, he got a payday and a good dinner, a first class ticket, and he got a $20 plaque that he left in the hotel room." And he said he'd never go back, and he probably won't. But the thing about that is, it's like the Vince McMahon Kiss My Rear End Club. Everyone goes there to say, praise Mr. McMahon, praise him for giving me life, which, I've lived a pretty good life without being there or doing anything with that company. So I don't know. It would be one of those things where I'm not happy with the 90-day no-compete clause. I'm not happy with some of the things they ask you to give up. I'm not happy with the fact that if you want to go back the second year, you have to buy your own plane ticket and you have to get your own hotel room, and it's a whole different deal the second time if you go back.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think, having worked with Vince, how do you think he would react to somebody going up on stage to accept their induction into the Hall of Fame and basically tearing him a new one in the speech?
Well, I think they'd be afraid of me. That's why. I think they know I'm pretty much not going to go there and say Mr. McMahon gave and did everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
All he did was present an avenue. He presented a ways and means for you to present yourself.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about William Shatner inducting Jerry the King Lawler?
See, it's all nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Shatner he doesn't mean anything. Guy hadn't been on a good TV show in quite a while. But, I got nothing against Pete Rose, but does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Right. Yeah.
Or Vince's limo driver?
Right. Well, there's a question here.
I take the Hall of Fame just a little bit more seriously than they do.
Yeah.
I really think it should be. There's nothing against Sabu's uncle, the Sheik, Eddie Farhat, but Eddie Farhat never, that I know of, wrestled in the WWE ever.
Right. Do you think when they start adding people, like him and Vern Gagne, that were never in WWE, that it kind of opens up, that they have to add certain guys that they haven't, like Luthez or somebody like that?
Well, yeah, the thing is, if they're going to use this cliche of, well, it's not just the WWE wrestlers that's in this Hall of Fame. We want to include everyone in the business. Okay, then I think call Jared up, induct some of his guys.
Mm-hmm. Someone emailed this question and said, when Diamond Dallas Page drove your pink Cadillac out at WrestleMania 6, did you ever think he'd be WCW World Champion someday?
No, I know he was a serious, dedicated, hard-working guy.
Mm-hmm.
He learned his craft very, very well. He spent countless hours studying wrestling and wanted to be in the business so bad that he drove that car from Tampa to Toronto. Just hoping that they might say, gosh, you did this for us, we'll take a look at you. But no, it didn't surprise me at all, because he had grown professionally and had turned out to be a pretty darn good worker and pretty good interviewer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really recall him ever having a bad match in WCW when he was like...
No, he was a real professional. He worked hard at making himself and his opponent look good.
Mm-hmm. I just want to plug kayfabememories.com, where you can buy a CD with Honky Tonk Man doing commentating over matches. Do you remember doing those?
Yeah, I did that last year. We did to put those together. That's a different little twist on a project that I've done.
Mm-hmm. I quite enjoyed them.
We did voiceovers on some old matches, some old WWE stuff.
It was quite fun to listen to. I recommend that to anybody.
Yeah, it was a different twist.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people here in the chat room, they want to know if you had any good rib story.
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I was over in the Carolinas, not the Carolinas, but in West Virginia or Knoxville or somewhere. It was a pretty good one. We're driving along, and I had this car that would go really fast. It was a Buick, and I had a big spotlight that I'd plug in, where we would look for jackrabbits and stuff when I was in Texas, and all kind of stuff we do. But anyway, I saw Mulligan go by, and Black Jack Mulligan and his son, Barry Windham. And Barry was driving, and they go flying by us about 85 miles an hour, and I just let them go. And then, when it got to the point where they couldn't see my headlights, I sped up real fast. We did. I think Bobby Eaton might have been in the car with me, and Kevin Sullivan maybe at that time. I sped up and got behind him and threw the spotlight on him like I was a cop, and Jack started throwing all his beer out. He wanted to kill me for that.
You got a question there, Barbie?
Yeah, we mentioned Jake Roberts earlier, who says he's clean now, and hopefully he is, but you hear a lot of stories about him on the independent circuit and some of the other big-name guys from the 80s and the early 90s who will show up. They'll go to the ring and cut their promo to hype up their main event and then go backstage and demand twice or three times or 4 times as much money as they agreed on to go through with the match. What do you think about guys who go out there and put that kind of vibe?
Well, I have never done that, and hopefully I will never will, unless there's some mitigating circumstances that would make me do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But my word is my bond, and I don't double book. I don't hold guys up for money. If I'm working for you for $300 and some guy calls me and says he's going to give me $5,000, and you've already booked my plane ticket and put your advertisement out, I'm going to be at your show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way I do business. There are some guys that have done that. One guy approached me one night and said, it's a good house here. I think we should go ask for more money. I said, I don't do that. I don't do that. And because once you start doing that, the word gets out, your phone will never ring again.
Mm-hmm.
But the stories you've heard, most of them are true.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are true.
How are you doing health-wise?
So far, so good. Ain't still dead yet.
Well, that's always a positive. I was wondering, what do you think? What do you think of some of the guys today? If you see a wrestler taking like a lot of big bumps, do you kind of afraid like what'll happen to them when they get older?
Well, when I was young, I did it,
mm-hmm.
and I used to stand at the curtain and watch the main event guys. They'd go out and push each other around for 7 or 8 minutes and finish their match and get out of the ring and go back to the locker room. And I thought, gosh, I'll be glad when I get 49, 50 years old so I can go do this. By the time I got 40 and 50, they were ready to wash us out of the business. They thought we were finished.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a pecking order type thing. I see young boys go out and take all these bumps and, do all this stuff. I did it. If you go back and look at some of those old Memphis tapes or those old Southeastern Championship Wrestling tapes from Pensacola and Mobile and Birmingham, Alabama, you'd say, holy cow, those guys were going.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just what we did. As time went on, you get to the point where your character's over enough that you don't have to put in all that kind of effort.
Right. You have to get noticed somehow. Yeah,
and see, my theory of this is this. I want to get the best results for the least amount of effort. You want to make the most money without investing the most money, don't you?
Well, of course.
Well, see, that's how I look at it. And so with the young guys, I think the first and second match on the card should go out and do ups and downs and do all the stuff. They should have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not fair for them guys to go out and have a 2-minute or 3-minute match, come back to the locker room, and then the promoter tell me, these guys went too short. What am I going to do? Well, it's not up to me to put an hour in.
Mm-hmm.
So I run into that a little bit, and some of the guys you go out and wrestle some of these kids and they go, oh, he didn't want to do this, he didn't want to do that. Well, okay, I'm wrestling Friday night. If I go do something Friday night and I let some guy pick me up, slam me down, knock my hip out, break my neck, and now I can't make the show on Saturday night, and that promoter might have invested a lot of time and effort in his money,
mm-hmm.
and then how come hobbling in there, and he says, what happened? I said, I let this kid slam me on this bad ring last night. He would say, are you crazy? You know better than that.
Mm-hmm.
So see, it's a protection thing. It's a protection thing for us because we don't work for the same promoter night after night after night. It's a different promotion everywhere I go. And they want to see the fresh, ready-to-go Honky Tonk Man.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hiring me to come in there on crutches in a wheelchair.
Right. Let everybody know again, June 28th, you're going to be wrestling Madman Pondo at the Logan Memorial Fieldhouse in Logan, West Virginia. And the 29th was Bobby Eaton, Madison Civic Center, Madison, West Virginia. Before each show at 6 o'clock, there's going to be a meet and greet with autographs, and then the bell time's at 7. Are you going to be part of the meet and greet?
Yeah, I'll be there. I love to do those. I like doing those because it gives me a chance to sit down and mingle with the fans for an hour before the show starts. And I like to be there an hour ahead anyway. I like to be there early.
Anything unusual anyone's ever asked you to sign?
Once I was in the stall and they passed the toilet paper underneath. I thought, I mean, at least you can wait.
Right. Did they get anything back?
Well, they should have, but no, I wasn't in the mood for that day. Well, you don't know who you're passing it back to.
That's true.
Could have been a cop.
Anything you want to tell the fans out there before I let you go?
What's that now?
Anything you want to tell all the fans out there before I let you go?
The ones that seen me on the Independence over the years, they know what I'm going to do. They know what they're going to get out there. They know they're going to be entertained. They know they're going to have fun. And the ones that haven't seen me, get out, get your ticket, get there early because we're definitely going to rock the house.
Excellent. Everybody check out asw/wrestling.com. Get your tickets. Really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Absolutely.
Hey, I've enjoyed it. I'm sorry I was late, but sometimes I run a little late.
It's no problem at all. Can we keep you here for 1 second?
Thanks for having me.
Hello, everybody. This is Tito Santana, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. Arriba!